Welcome to the Builder Sessions, a podcast where we chat with your favorite builders.
We get to know them, their stories, and hopefully inspire you to get off the couch and build something cool. I'm Hoff.
And I'm Rosie. And on this episode, you're stuck with us. We chat about what we've been up to. We recap the last year of shows, 35 shows. That's crazy.
Awesome.
We talk about the projects that we have going on. There's a bunch of you who have been asking about, you guys need to talk more about what you're doing. Show us your projects. We see them on Instagram. You should talk about it. So we're going to do that. And we're going to talk about what we've gained from the show, how it's kind of helped us grow as people. All this and more on this episode of the Builder Sessions.
Please enjoy our interview with us.
All right, Hoff, here we are.
In the garage. Yours sounded better than mine.
Wouldn't be the first time. I don't know what that means. Here we are in Hoff's garage. We took in a little bit of a detour from the old basement
studio.
Basement studio with kids running around and cat allergies.
Now there just might be a dog clanking on the door wanting to come in, but he should be okay.
That's right. Man, okay. So we were talking about this, about what we're going to talk about. And because, it's been a year of straight interviews, and it's been really
35
cool.
to be exact. I just looked up the
35 shows.
That's crazy.
That's pretty cool.
From a little idea of, hey, do you want to be a part of something? Do you think we could do this? Do you think we could find people? It's crazy.
Yeah, it's been a a wild ride too. Where it hasn't exploded, but it's got consistent growth and people like it, and we're getting some good feedback now, and it's kind of neat to be a part of.
I think it's done really good because I'm
not saying it didn't. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but I don't know if I had high hopes for it because I thought it would be really cool, and we wanted these certain people on the show, and we got them right away, and we've just kept getting crazy people. Not crazy as their personality, but these people that we either look up to or that, are really crazy, awesome, wicked talented builders. And
Wicked awesome is
wicked awesome.
Graz would say that.
Graz would say that. Yeah.
Wicked awesome.
Yeah. So this has been crazy, and it's interesting. We've been chatting a little bit about, we're getting to the end of our school year, and we're both spent. We're both exhausted, ready for the summer break. And sometimes, to be honest, it seems like I almost forget about the show, and, we go a little bit in between episodes, and then as soon as we get somebody on and we finish the episode, it just fills our bucket up.
Yeah, we're like, this is sweet. We should do this more.
I don't know if you can't find that passion or something that does that. And there's some days where even at the start of the interview, I'm right, either or, you're tired, you're bagged, you're like, oh man.
Or you just got away. That you left your wife with the kids and they're being crazy, and just talking with myself, or we're in the basement in the studio.
Yeah.
And I just know.
See your son come around the stairs and look at you, and you're like, whoa.
Here he opens the door and he just busts in like Kramer. That's happened a few times. Like, buddy, what are you doing? Especially middle of an interview with someone, and I click hit mute, and I'm motioning to get out of here. Don't do that. But
then after every episode, we're just this is awesome,
and we're excited to see where it's gonna go. I think we've had some really cool feedback, so thank you to those of you who have reached out. If you want to buy a sticker, I'm not trying to plug it, but there's recently.
Here we go.
Yeah. Always on
Rosie in a sale pitch.
Always doing a pitch. No, something happened with our Etsy store, and they said, "Oh, you need to reconnect or reauthorize or whatever your bank account." And I just haven't it closed the store down because I had to connect it, but I did connect because someone
scammers.
Someone actually bought stickers from us.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't sold a ton, but not that I just wanted to have them up there.
Yeah.
And it says you need to reauthorize or reconnect or whatever your bank account that you're going to use. And I thought I did. And then I get an email. It's like, your Etsy store has been pulled down. So in case, if you're wondering, that's what's going on. But it's been a busy end to the year. How we normally record this show is we've normally, which is probably going to change now because we've been talking about it, but we've normally been like, because we have the same, we're school teachers, as you know.
Or if you don't know, we are
know.
school teachers.
We are school teachers.
We have quite a bit of time off.
Hoff teaches wood shop, and I teach welding and fabrication and stuff. And we have pretty much the same schedules, which is super cool. And during, let's say, like, there's a break, like spring break or reading week or whatever you want to call it. Well, in the past, traditionally, we've booked like
2 full days.
2 full days of interviews.
So
and then
8 to 10 guests.
Yeah, and that's 8 to 10, or no, that's like 4 months worth of
4
content.
to 5 months, yeah.
Because we're bi-monthly, right? Every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so, excuse me. And so, it's interesting. Like at the end of those 2 days, we're bagged, and we're like, okay, we don't want to touch this for a while. And then sometimes we even edit them right away. Or when we don't, it doesn't take me long to edit them because we have this awesome, shout out to Rode, the Rodecaster Pro makes it pretty easy. And so, what am I getting at? What's the point I'm trying to make? Oh yeah, so we were thinking about maybe changing it from that because after 2 solid days, we're wrecked. And then we put it off for a while. We take a break and get back into, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we only have one left in the hopper. We should probably do this. And then
trying to find the time and get people on the show,
find a guest and all this stuff. And we have amazing people like ready to go. We just haven't had a chance to
sit down and get a definitive plan on when we can get them in.
Because especially in summer, we don't know. Well, our summers are pretty wide open, but we have plans and things come up, and there's stuff that, my wife knew about and told me about, but I've forgotten. And,
We have families, we have kids that don't go to school during the summer. So there's a lot, different trips, camping.
And so what we might be doing is updating or changing our recording style to be,
more frequent,
more consistent, every couple weeks maybe, or once a month or whatever. And then maybe do one of those big days.
Still kind of keep a hopper somewhat loaded.
Yeah.
But then maybe try and do it a bit more consistent because we seem to be a bit more energized when it's less quantity and more frequent, so that we kind of stay relevant to. And if people are talking about something that is time sensitive, we've kind of steered away from that in the future too.
That's
right?
What I was going to say. Oh yeah. So it's like the last episode we released, that was, where was that? Who was that? Motionado, right. And we were talking with him about
Trevor.
Yeah, we were talking with Trevor about he's from Colorado. And at the beginning of the episode, we're like, oh, we're under a storm or a winter snowstorm advisory because we recorded in February. And then it's released in June. Yeah. And people are like, what the hell? So
it's also Alberta weather, though. We've had up in northern Alberta, I've been watching some news clips, and they're getting hammered with hail and a ton of snow in like Grand Cache and way northern Alberta. It's crazy. I'm like, oh, that does not look fun. So we could have recorded it yesterday.
Yeah. It's plausible. However, I think when I didn't anticipate that when we first started. Because I was like, oh, we'll just talk about them, their stories, and whatever we talk about in the intro. But then, what do you have coming up? Tell us what you have coming up. Oh, well, I have this show coming out, or I have this project I'm doing. It'll be out next week or next month or whatever. And then it's like 2 months later, this episode comes out, and that's irrelevant information.
Yeah. Or we edit it out so that it doesn't, you know, which gets kind of hard because some of these people have some really awesome stuff and exciting news and opportunities that they're endeavoring in. And
I've noticed something. You know what I've noticed?
What?
And this isn't like a, hey, look at us. But I've noticed that like some people that we've had on, our timing is horrible because we have them on and then something big happens to them, or they change careers or they change, right? Like there's been a few of those, right? We had Alex Taylor on, and then she is an awesome interview, and then right after that she gets that hot rod garage show.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying it's because of us, because it's hell no, it's not because of us. Can you imagine how pompous we are?
Why does that even go through your head?
Well, I don't want people to think that's what I'm saying, because it's not. But then we've had Rachel Bonnet, who and then she's got that Hot Wheels show, right? And there's I think there's a couple more. It's like kind of cool, but it's kind of neat though, a feather in my cap too, because it's like we talked to you kind of before this all happened, and
still staying in touch with them too,
and still
and
staying in touch, right?
Yeah.
And
Seems like the community, that's what I've kind of noticed throughout this whole journey over the years, that, to be honest, I was quite hesitant on how people would react if we'd even get people wanting to, tell their stories, be on the show, recording the episode, getting to know them in that, hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours is great. But then there's also after the show and keeping in touch, whether it's Instagram messaging, email, checking in on people, congratulating them on these achievements that they've gotten, or these shows, or, sponsorships and stuff. And they're still just like, hey, oh, congrats on your, new endeavor. And they're like, oh, thanks. It's been great. And the community's been crazy, so embracing, and
it's pretty sweet.
It's
See,
awesome.
now I'm getting excited again.
Yeah.
I was the DD last night for a function, and I got home at 1:30, 1:45.
Is that why there's 4 toothpicks in your eyes?
So I was in bed by 2, and then I was up at 6:30. The old kid wake up, morning, Dad.
Ding dong, hello.
Hello. Yoo-hoo. Big summer blowout. Probably get flagged for that. Yeah, and Wayne's another one. Well, Wayne was already kind of a big deal, but it's just been cool to see his success with Rampy since he's been on the show and been able to follow him along that way. There's been quite a few, right? Justin Lamoureux, right? Rainy Day Forage. He did that that one show where he made some knives for some people, the Bell Media thing.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Josh Mazerold. He's got this. He's got some. I can't say, but he's got some projects that are happening now.
Yeah.
I almost let the cat out of the bag, but he's gonna come on and talk about them. Just kind of neat, just to kind of be like, yeah, we kind of know those people, and again, Stephanie Hoffman, big changes that she announced after she came on the show.
Yeah.
So our timing was, even Dirthead Dave. Okay, so
right.
we should talk about that. So we talked about. I felt so bad because we had Dirthead Dave on, and it was a great interview. That's our most popular, to date. It's our most popular episode. So I'm just looking at my phone right now. It's got, how many does it have? Here we go. 563 downloads, which, I mean, we're still a small show, right? Let's be honest. But for us, it's really big. The next one is 325. So it's
almost double.
Big deal.
Yeah.
And then, so we had a great interview. Obviously we had a great interview. People are listening to it, loving it. And then I found out later that, because we were talking to him about the Dirt Everyday show and what that's like, blah, 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 and just really diving into what he's doing. And then we find out later that, he's no longer on that show, or the show got canceled or whatever. And the day we talked to him was the morning after they told him that the show wasn't going to continue. So like I felt like a piece of trash because we're like, oh, this is so cool. How's dirt every day? And,
Yeah.
talking to this poor guy about this whole, and he's like, yeah, it's really good, but it wasn't like announced yet, but he
Mhm.
knew. But what a sport. What a good sport. Hey, what a champ to not be like, I don't want to talk about that, or,
Well,
such a solid dude.
I think that goes to show too that, and I had maybe had a bit of a bias coming into this, and like, oh, these people are, they're famous, and they're all. When you start talking to each and every guest that we've had on from whatever discipline or trade, they're all just normal people that have a passion for what they're doing, and they've maybe taken some risks or chances, and it's worked out really, really good for them. Maybe not so well, and at the end of the day, they're just a normal person who, like you and me, and our listeners could probably relate with them too. And
Oh yeah.
Some bad crap can happen, some great opportunities can arise, and I think you just need to maybe, I don't know. It seems like there's been a lot of what am I trying to say here? Like opportunities taken, and you got to kind of roll the dice, and whether that's financially moving to a different state, going out on a whim of starting your own shop, even though it could be really scary, and not having, that the financial part could be quite nerve wracking.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, they're all just human beings who have a story to share and a passion that they're pursuing. And that's kind of the amazing part, I think, for me, because I was just like, some of these people, I was like, oh, they're whatever, there's so many viewers, and they've got this and different shows, and they've done this, and some of the old guys from Spike TV, Kevin Tates and Jeremy Bumpus, I remember watching them as a kid, and for me, they were kind of on a pedestal, and you start talking to them, and they're just down to earth people.
Yeah.
They've got families, they've got, they partake in events, away from what they're doing. They have different hobbies sometimes of what they do for their, career, and they're just down to earth people.
Yeah.
And that's and I for some reason I was scared of like, oh, why are they going to want to talk to us two chumps who, are just kind of starting out? And I think that embracing has been
two Canadian idiots, not even in the same country as us.
So that's been really kind of neat to see how everybody has handled different.
Gives me some faith in humanity.
Yeah.
Hey?
Yeah. To be able to reach out blindly. Hey, we're doing this show. This is kind of what it's about. You want to be on? And no
just
problem.
100%.
Boom.
Like even Ian Johnson.
Yep.
And then he shared he shared Josh Mazeral's episode, I think it was.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, everybody,
just
listen to this one.
Support.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You listen to this? Oh, man.
There's good people in this world.
There is.
A lot more than maybe people take granted for.
And we've every single one of our guests is in that list. Mm-hmm. We haven't had a single guest on this show that we've been like, it's kind of a dud. This person's kind of, like we wouldn't do that anyways. But like, I'm sure that other shows, and maybe it's coming to, where it's like you get, that wasn't the greatest interview, or, that person, maybe not even the interview, just like that person's kind of a jerk, or that everyone in this community has been positive and exciting. And every single time it's like, that was awesome.
And a lot of overarching themes and similarities from episode to episode of, like, wow, there's a lot of common themes coming from how they started, or, maybe there's, again, being shop teachers, there was, I know quite a few at the start, and quite a few that we've had that took a shop class or got started in high school, or working with their parents or grandparents or family friends, and just been a lot of, it's hard to even think of some of the commonalities, but just overarching themes that are very consistent when you start to dig in and get to know them and how they got started. And it almost, I don't know, there's a bit of comfort to like, okay, so this, you can get started with bare bones. You don't have to, go spend $100,000 on tools to get started to set up a shop. You can, I don't know, it's really interesting. I think it just almost humbling to hear a bunch of the guests on the show talk about their upbringing and how they got started. And sometimes there was a teacher that was very influential, or there was quite a few guests that were teachers. Ian Johnson, Jeremy Bumpus was in, I think, as an English teacher. He wanted to kind of pursue that and that education, and Stephanie Hoffman with her teaching, and I'm sure there's a whole bunch of others too, just off the top of my head. But yeah, it's kind of like, wow, like you get that platform, whether it's on Instagram, through your business, your company, a TV show. If you're a teacher, you get to be able to kind of influence and lead, whether it's kids, students, adults. At the college, George Vondriska also did, he does, whether you're running your different classes from your business, you're very influential on people that can pick up these skills, and whether it's a hobby or they want to pursue something as a career, there's a ton of opportunities, and you just kind of, like we've been saying, got to get off the couch and build something, whether and some people might need a bit of a foundation in a class, go to a trade school, go work with a family friend,
but even in that, you're building a skill set.
Exactly.
So then you can, and building confidence. So I got a question.
I
think we should both answer this.
Yeah.
What has this show in this year done for you personally? Like improved for you, or I'm putting you on the spot. We didn't even talk about this, but
okay.
Like, what have you taken from this
good.
show and us doing this show? How has it helped you grow?
Oh.
If you want to take a minute to think,
no,
I can answer.
I've got probably a couple things, two things.
Yeah, do it.
One, I think first and foremost would be the drive to continue to better my skill sets, talking with different, we each have our own strengths, I would say, in different industries. And there's sometimes that there's an automotive person or welding and way over my head.
Yeah.
But I believe I'm a visual learner. But then when there's people talking about certain processes and, not dumbing it down, but, simplifying it, I feel like I retain some of that. So I feel, and I don't know, it's kind of one of those things too. I finished my basement a couple of years ago, and I watched, 15, 20 hours of YouTube videos on how to paint, how to spray walls and stuff. And I built it up in my head. I went down and bought a little Titan sprayer. It was like $1,300. I was going to paint my whole basement and do it all myself, because I watched so many videos that I was like, I know what I'm doing. This is easy.
Yeah.
I get the sprayer home, and I'm ready to go. I bought paint, and I'm like, oh no, I don't know what I'm doing. Imposter syndrome, maybe. I'm like, so I returned the sprayer, contacted. Anywho, I find that from talking to a lot of these people, it's kind of giving me confidence in my own skill sets, and my kind of expertise area would be cabinet making, woodworking and stuff. But talking to automotive people, fab, I feel like, and there's a lot of themes as we were talking about earlier, and one of those is you just got to go do it.
Yeah.
And lots of times I have to research, whether it's YouTube, talking to a friend, very visual, but it's like, no, just go do something, get that wrench out, go change your oil. Like, you don't have to know everything. So it's kind of giving me some confidence to go maybe try some stuff that I normally wouldn't do, or I would go research crazy and, try and get engulfed in it to fully understand.
Like obsessively.
Yeah, kind of like that. So it's really kind of opened up my thought process. And even for my kids and even my students, it's just kind of given me a bit more confidence to be like, no, like, you can do this.
Yeah.
You might not know what you're doing, but that's okay. So I think that would be kind of the first one. And the second one, which probably, I don't know, I was, to be honest, scared shitless to come on the show. I've never.
No way. Even
though I'm a teacher, I hate talking in loud groups, in loud groups, in large groups.
Yeah.
You put me in front of students, I can do I can talk, keep it going. If you put me in front of my colleagues, nerves kind of kick in when we start talking. I know probably my first, must have been like 8 to 10 episodes. I was like almost kind of shaking, because you are I would say, a veteran. You've done a bunch of different podcasts. You're just a natural. You're an extrovert. I feel like I
keep
can
going,
listen.
keep going.
I feel like I can listen
me
to
more.
you for days, and the way you form questions
I
and
appreciate
listen to
that.
people and tie that in. I'm still learning, and I would say maybe I'm not super self-confident, but I still feel like have a long way to go on, carrying conversation. And even if it's out of my range, because sometimes when there's guests that I don't know anything about, I tend to maybe sit back a little bit.
Yeah.
And
I can relate.
And I know you do that too, but
yeah,
you just got this wizardry of being able to relate things and listen and bring it all together.
Well, I appreciate that. But it can't be at the cost of your confidence.
No, but I think as I'm going, I'm slowly starting to get a bit more confident. And like, again, these are regular, normal people. And you just kind of, it's almost, I think I almost had to frame it a little bit. I don't know, like 10, 12 episodes in. It's just like, just think that they're in a garage, you're hanging out and you're chatting, because sometimes this pressure would be on me like, oh, I gotta. And sometimes I feel like I would stumble, or I would and sometimes I do that. I'm like, what am I trying to say here? And you're like, oh, well, I think you're trying. Oh, right. Yeah. So I think that's been a big thing for me, is that my confidence is starting to get better, and I'm maybe not as afraid to get on the mic. And
it's no different than when we went to that school PD thing and we were working the lathes.
Yeah.
Except flipped. I've never touched a wood lathe in my life. And then the guy's like, oh, I'm using the wrong, what are they called? Knives or chisels? See, I don't know this shit.
Turning tools?
Yeah. I'm using the wrong, this old guy, you should probably be using this one. Oh, shoot. Okay. Yeah. And you're like, I look over, I barely get a little top spun, and you've got a bowl and a freaking salt shaker and a billy club and a fish knocker outer, a fish club, whatever. No, but you know what I mean? So it's just one of those like
different. Everybody carries different skill sets.
I was scared. I think for me, it all comes down to imposter syndrome for sure. Because I walked into that wood shop. It's a wood shop PD opportunity. I'm a metal guy, and I'm like,
and I'm like, this is awesome.
I know, because that's your jam.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they're gonna find out that I don't know anything. Yeah. Right.
But it was a bunch of old guys through the Woodturners Guild, who were there to help
share
out, and a lot of the other teachers that were there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the nice thing with teaching and being in the trades in this community of makers and builders, that there might be people that don't want to share their, how they do something that may be specialized to them, but that's one thing too throughout all this, is that people are willing to share and share a lot of information on how to do something or procedures. And once you walk in and you get that support, it was kind of like, it took you a little bit of time. I noticed, right? You're watching people and kind of taking stuff in, but then once you got going,
I'm not qualified to do this. Like, oh my gosh.
But just like anything though, you started turning and you, with that practice, and it like exponentially increases.
That's what I'm saying. So just like you in the show, you don't have anything to worry about because no one's listening right now. It's just us.
Until it goes.
Until we hit send.
Worldwide.
But no one's listening. Even on the Zoom call, it's just our guest and us. That's it. No one's listening.
And I think that's the other thing I had to frame too, because I was worried. I remember we talked about doing some lives and stuff, and I was like, that's still like a no-no for me. I'm like, no, I'm good. But when you see them in their shop, their house, they're in the same spot we are.
It's just
right.
But at the same time, if it was live, there'd be a little bit more for sure. Mm-hmm. But it's not.
Yeah.
And we can control what gets sent out.
Yeah.
Right? We don't, for the record, we pretty much put out everything that gets said.
Yeah.
Right? We ask our guests out of courtesy, is there anything you want us to leave out? Or did you talk about like a project that you don't want to release yet or whatever? There's
only been a few things we've had too, right? Not very much though.
Or just like little flub ups that we've done that we've caught while we're editing, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But so your takeaways were confidence in trying stuff, and just like this audio stuff, right? Is that
yeah.
That were the two.
Getting more comfortable on the mic, I guess.
The mic is hot.
I don't shake as much, but then I feel like if I have a drink, sometimes that helps.
Yeah, it cuts it down, eh? Takes the edge off.
Yeah. What about you?
I think definitely has helped. This show has definitely helped me. It's forced me. It's like giving me an accountability piece to get out of my comfort zone, and forget about imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that post a while back about how imposter syndrome. It's like it's not imposter syndrome because the whole time you're thinking you're an imposter, you're just learning, and then when you don't feel like an imposter anymore, you've just learned that skill.
Yeah.
So you're just a like insecure learner.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking for myself.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's been things like I'm more confident because of this show. I'm more confident in my abilities, or when I'm trying new things. I'm not as scared to try new stuff. Because there's a few times when you're like, dude, you're selling yourself short here. Like you could do this stuff. And I'm like,
I tell you that all the time. You take yourself for granted.
And I'm like, oh man, I don't know.
You're a genius.
And I'm like, well, thank you.
Between you had your Wyotech training, you worked in parts stores, you've wrenched auto body stuff. You used to teach auto body at the same school there for that year that we worked together.
Yeah. So that was a good year.
You've got all of these skill sets. I focus kind of on one. You've got all these different avenues that you sell yourself short. And when you need to get into it, I think maybe, and from that show, like you said, I think when you're forced to get out of your comfort zone, that's when you grow the most.
And that's what I've been really like blessed by with this show. Thank you for the compliments, by the way. The check.
I won't give you many more after this.
I left the check there on the stairs. But it's forced me, or no, it's helped me be less afraid to try something new.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So like,
I feel the same way a bit too. Yeah, maybe that's what I was trying to allude to, but I can't do the words. Like it's just flowing.
No. You can do the words, but I'm just thinking like, let's say for instance, even this truck thing. I have, and I think I was talking with my wife about this too, and it has some to do with my. I got back on my ADHD meds, which we don't need to talk about that.
Hey, each their own. Whatever can help, right?
I'm not spinning my tires and perseverating on shit that I have to do or stress out on, whatever. Yeah. However, in most of the projects, vehicles I've had in the past, there's a point when I like obsess over it, and then I hate how that feels, and I look for an out, and I'm like, well, I'll just sell it. I'll just offload it. Then I don't, and then I justify getting rid of it, and then it's a cycle.
You do that like 80 and 90%, and then you.
It's happened a few times. Yeah, like I had that old first gen Civic that I was gonna do. I've had an old 55 pickup, Chevy pickup. I've had whatever. But with this international, we got it around the same time that we started the show, about a year ago, and through with the support of, that's the other thing, the community, freaking rock stars. Yeah. Right. I put a thing out there. Hey, how do I get these ball joints out? Hundreds of comments. Sweet. Like that's sweet. So thank everyone for that. But what I'm getting at here is knowing that we're telling people to get out and build something, try something new, blah, 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 blah. And I'll shout out to Eric Tessmer, Bare Knuckle Binder, because I was talking with him and about the truck, and I was like, I might get someone to do this, whatever. He's like, or you could do it yourself, because that's what you tell people to do on your show.
You made a post there about, I'm gonna have to buy him lunch or something. You're gonna have to take him to like Mexico to an all inclusive and just be like, thank you.
Well, we're gonna once we get that old girl rolling, I wouldn't mind taking her for a trip down to see Eric.
Yeah.
Or do a power tour or something next year. I don't know. Anyways, because power tour looks so fun. Side note, but because of the community, my confidence is like up there, and so I'm taking on this truck. I haven't stressed out about it once. I took apart, like I dove into that thing, and everyone I've talked to is like, "Wow, that's a big project," and I'm like, before when people have said that to me about projects I've done, I kind of get anxiety about it. I'm like, oh shoot, this is a big and then I let myself over. Yeah. And now I'm like, is it though? Like it is,
Yeah.
but it's doable. Like I've already done. I said that to some people that came over, and they were looking at the frame that I have for this thing, and they're like, "Oh, that's a big project," and I was like, "Yeah, but I've already done a huge part of it, right? Pulling that body off, taking all the harness out, connecting it all, making it run without the body on. Like that's pretty sick."
Yeah.
And with that, and like say like the ball joints for my Jeep, that would stress me out too, big time. It's my daily driver.
Yeah.
How the hell am I gonna get? I gotta get this
Jacked
done.
up in the front driveway.
Yeah,
Right.
because frames in the garage, so I look like there's a permanent redneck yard sale going on out front. I got the Jeep jacked up. I got tools everywhere, grease stains on the
Oil
driveway.
running down the driveway into the road.
It gives
Pool party.
That gives you the little tweaks.
Yeah.
Because you're like, you can't handle that.
You know what I think might have helped with that mindset a bit too? I remember going back last summer when we had Wayne's interview.
Yeah.
And him owning his shop. And I think there's been a lot of people who've said this, but I remember after, and even a couple weeks after we had talked to him and recorded, and he had said, sometimes you can't just, hold off and then try and put in a bunch of work. That was it 20 minutes a day or, consistently work on your projects. And again, I think we're both bad for that because we've got families, we've got different things going on. The weeks are a gong show sometimes. And it's like, the weekend, I'm going to go throw 8 hours into this project. And, the kids could be losing it, whatever. You could have sports, family events. You're not going to get a lot done. Whereas if you do that, was it 20 minutes a day? Half an hour or something?
Half hour a day.
Just the consistency, chip away at it. And this big project now is broken up into many small parts.
And it adds up.
Yeah. And I remember you kind of, there was that, like the light turned on. You were like, because you kept, you were like, oh, I need to do this. And on the weekend, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And sometimes we set the standard or set the bar too high and thinking, we can do this on the weekend in one day. In reality, it's not getting done. So chipping away at it every day.
And that's been huge help.
Yeah.
Like I go out
massive.
Like kids are in bed. I'm going to go for like 45 minutes, just get this chunk of the harness out.
Pulling wires out. Yeah.
All the whole time. And then pretty soon it's like, oh, this is ready to go. Holy crap.
Yeah.
And I think too, and this is maybe this could probably talk to or communicate a little bit or describe, I don't know what the C words, I can't word sometimes.
So we compliment each other. Two peas in a pod.
It's a perfect partnership.
We're really screwed when we both don't have the words at the same time. Haven't hit that yet.
That's when we edit. That's we edit that out. But I think this might speak to, there it is, even our recent change of how we're going to do the show. So I think so for me, I do this thing and I front load everything to like a Saturday, right? I'm going to do 8 hours of work on this. It doesn't go the way I want it to. It always takes way longer, right? My amazing wife's like, she's used to it now. If I'm saying something's going to be 2 hours, it's all day.
Now I've gone in the mindset of it's going to take me 2 hours. I'm going to say it's going to take 6.
Yeah.
Just to be on the safe side. And it takes 10 and you're like, well, I'm still wrong.
Yeah. Or it takes 4 and you're a hero. But I think, do you think you could start like being resentful towards whatever that project is just because it's like a big chunk of time? You say next Saturday, I'm going to do this, you take all day. And then all week you're thinking about that. That's coming up. And then you're like,
and you get burnt out from it sometimes, just thinking about it.
100%.
Mentally.
And then you're like, you get there, and then whatever, this tool isn't working properly, or I got to run to the store and get this because I forgot to do this, and then this happened, and then it doesn't work out the way that you planned. All of this real estate in your mind that you gave that all week doesn't work out, and then you're like, you can get discouraged.
Yep.
Really easily. And I think that's maybe what happens when we do those big weeks.
Yeah.
Or big 2 days, whatever.
Yeah.
But so that's one, just wholly digress. But yeah, that's one thing is my confidence in like trying stuff, right? I'm still don't have a ton of confidence in woodworking, but that's what I have you for.
And
But
I
I'm gonna
lack
try
in
it.
automotive
But
knowledge.
look at how
So
much you've done. Okay, so now maybe this is a good segue, or should I do my second one and then we'll
do
get
your
into that?
second one, yeah.
Um, the segue I was referring to was talking about our projects, just things that we have going on. But yeah, so the second thing that I've taken away is just how small the world is, and just this maker, whatever you call it, builder, maker, whatever community is just awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm a part of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like I don't need to feel like an imposter that I'm going to be found out or that I'm not legit enough. I don't have this. I'm accepted in this
Mm-hmm.
community,
Mm-hmm.
and we're accepted in this community. The show has a community around it, and people actually listen to this drivel. And I'm just really grateful for this whole thing. It's been, my wife has said she's seen like, just in, I don't know if it's in my confidence or just like, it's a passion project and it's exciting.
Yeah.
And, you know, just having the opportunity to do this, I'm just really grateful. So thank you to everyone for listening.
And being a part of this journey that we're on, because
It's what it is.
it's had its ups and downs and stressful moments and really happy, energetic moments, and we're learning. Just like everybody else out there, everybody's got their specialties or their skill sets or their confidence in a certain area. As soon as you get pushed past that and start doing something, that's when
it's a little uncomfortable.
Think
about the muscles, right?
Yeah.
What is it? How do you build muscle? You have to tear the muscle, and then it builds up, right? It's not.
What happens if you don't have muscles?
Well, then you're screwed. You get implants or something. Muscular implants.
There you go.
Oh boy, but growth is not fun.
No,
that's like, why do you think they call little kids not growing, but growing pains, right?
Mm-hmm.
When your body's growing, it's stretching, it's not comfortable, right? It's not same with when we're, growing our skill sets and, well, I've never done this before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm ready to do this, whatever. It's like, well, you're never going to be ready.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how to do it.
There's no better time than now.
So just do it.
Yeah.
Like Grod said in the show, right? Just do it. Like, just do it. I don't know. It's as simple.
Yeah.
Not a sponsor. Nike's not a sponsor of the show. But yeah, so we've been asked a few times now for like a update of what we're doing, and because like we're trying to incorporate, we've been talking to you about the episodes and how we'd like to have more of us like banter in there. How do we do that? Or do we do like an update at the beginning? Or I don't know. We gotta figure that out. But this is gonna be like an update for us too.
Mm-hmm.
So like we were asked, what projects do we have on the go? What kind of things are we working on? What do you have going on? What projects do you have going on?
See, this is where it's been a bit tricky because I used to have a whole bunch of tools and equipment of my own, and I sold most of the stuff because we went from a condo, which we had a little storage unit that I kept a whole bunch of stuff at my parents' garage, and we finally moved into a house 4 years ago. Nice big garage,
like huge, like
very tall ceilings. I think they're like 14. 14 feet, and then go down to like 11. So I built a whole bunch of shelving, and I've got a lot of tools here, and I've slowly been reacquiring them because I sold a bunch. I had a bunch of like planer, jointer, biscuit joiners, a whole bunch of woodworking stuff that I had used to build like our bedroom set and a whole bunch of stuff, cutting boards, stuff like that for family for kind of holidays. And when I got the teaching job, I have a shop at the school with all that. So I was like, I don't have the space. I don't have all this because I also want to be able to park my vehicles in the garage.
Yeah.
So I haven't really been able to do a lot of stuff and record and different things. You're kind of the Instagram wizard, and I feel like I've been lacking in the projects, and and it might be a mindset thing of, I always think after I'm done doing something, but so I don't know what I'm trying to get to. I haven't had a lot of projects on the go for probably, I don't know, 5 months or whatnot, maybe 6 months. Little few things around the house, but I would say maybe 3 weeks ago. Kind of a long story. I'll try and sum it up and be quick about it, but
Just let it go. Just
I have acquired a 1986 Chevrolet Glendale. So it's a 21-foot motorhome on the G30 chassis, dually in the rear. And the interesting thing about this is I actually grew up in this motorhome. My aunt, uncle, and
they were
dad.
gypsies and they traveled the world. Just kidding.
My
Is that
family.
I apologize if that's an offensive term anymore. I don't know. Jeez.
They all went in. Maybe my grandma too. They went in on it and bought it brand new in 1986. I actually grew up in this. We didn't do a lot of, camping, so to say, in it because we had a lake place and we did a lot of stuff at the lake. But I remember going up to Sylvan Lake in Alberta. We'd go down to the States into Idaho, to Coeur d'Alene area with a boat, and I remember just kind of spending much time with my family on the lake with it, camping. And anyways, it's been at my aunt's for interestingly, I believe my parents took it back to their lake place when they were building their newer home back in the mid 2000s, 2007 or something. They parked it at the lake, so while their house was building, they could go out there on the weekends, and they stayed in the motorhome. Then my aunt took it back to her place, and it's been pretty much sitting there. A few weekend trips to, like Castle, Waterton, and it's pretty much sat there for 7 years, unused. They're on an acreage, so it was kind of like tree covered, which wasn't bad. So anyways, they've been trying to sell it. A couple of people lowballed them because there had been a tree that had fallen on it, and they thought it was going to be too much work, and there's a little bit of roof damage on the inside. And I kind of had the idea, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago. I was like talking to my wife, and I was like, oh, like, would you consider camping, or would you want to, if we get this motorhome, do you think you'd have fun? And she was like, no, like too much work. Like, what are we gonna do? We're kind of lake people and like to go in the boat and all that stuff. And next thing you know, we were up there last summer and talking with my aunt, and we went through it, and my kids were kind of excited, and I was like, would you consider selling this? And so anyways, I had it towed down, and it's becoming my new project that, as we were talking before we started recording, starting to get a bit frustrated because I am not automotively inclined. I know a little bit about stuff, but it's kind of, again, out of my comfort zone, and I'm not confident in my skill sets to be able to do all this stuff. So currently it's at the shop now, just getting the brakes checked, and there was an auxiliary tank that was kind of giving it some fuel problems, and I'm getting some stuff checked out and, making sure. But it's an 86. It's got 38,000 kilometers on it. It's got a 350 carburetor, and it is, we fired it up there a couple weeks ago, and we redid the plugs, the wires, kind of did a tune up. And I'm really getting excited to get it cleaned out and fixed, and kind of get my family out, and hopefully my kids and my wife can experience kind of what I had when I was growing up. And so there's, speaking of the ceiling damage, again, I like to research a lot of stuff, so I'm always checking out forums, RV forums about stuff. And one of the guys at work was like, just cut into it. Like, come on, what are you worried? What are you nervous about? And I'm like, I don't know how it works. So anyways, I just kind of got over that, maybe that imposter syndrome of not knowing what I'm doing. And I hacked the roof apart, and little do you know, it's all wood construction. I was like, oh, it's like 1/8-inch wall board that goes on the ceiling, or plywood, I guess. So I cut that open and found a couple potential leaks and kind of sealed them up, and I put some roof vents on it. I sealed the whole roof again, and now I'm like, okay.
Look at you go.
But again, I think,
Don't sell. See, I'm going to say what you said to me.
yeah,
Don't sell yourself short.
no,
You just ripped the roof off a friggin' motorhome.
it wasn't a very large area, but still, again, as we've been talking
You
about,
just took a grinder or whatever
oscillating tool,
Oscillating
multi-tool.
tool, yeah. Something that
out.
cuts without knowing how it works, and you just sent it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
But it goes to show, as we've talked about and as our, guests have said, sometimes you just got to do it. So I don't know, between talking with people who have RVs and I've got a lot of colleagues at work that are very knowledgeable. You're knowledgeable. Everybody's got different areas, and I start talking with them and they're like, just do it. It's
No
what you
big deal,
do, right?
yeah.
Like,
Well,
and it's not, and the nice thing, unlike the Jeep project you had, and you just were talking about it too, because I was kind of getting frustrated on, do I have to replace the gas tank, all this stuff. It's not my daily driver. So it's not like I need to worry about this thing could be ripped apart and
for
now I can't get to work. I mean, it's
right.
The thing purrs, it fires right up. I got to do a deep clean. You talk about, doing these huge jobs and booking a day to do a whole bunch. I've been wanting to steam clean and clean the whole motorhome because it sat for a while. There's a little bit of moisture in the roof and, it's got a little bit of a smell, but I've had that on my plate for 4 weeks and it sat out in front of my house, and it's like every day, we're talking with my wife, let's do a big deep clean. Well, we got this and maybe we can, and it never got done. And then I moved it and I didn't have to stare at it all the time. And now it's kind of like, okay, it doesn't matter.
It'll get done when it gets done.
But when it's sitting in front,
yeah.
And I guess maybe you could speak about the 51 being in the garage. Sometimes I feel when there's stuff there and you see it or you walk by it every day, you're like, I would be like, that needs to be done. The awning needs to be washed. I got to grease all the parts.
Yeah.
But when it's not there, you can just, and one of my colleagues, one of my buddies was like, go get an RV plate or go get a little storage unit, go park it out there. And then when you want to work on it, you go out there and work on it so that it's not in your driveway.
Yeah.
Being consumed of it. I've got this and this to do and that, right? So it's kind of, I don't know, I guess that community and people just, being able to give me advice and maybe, like, hey, stop thinking about it. Just go do it.
Yeah.
And it's been really, I've dabbled into Flex Seal on the roof to, try and fix some holes. And the thing is absolutely mint inside. And
it's at road. If you want to see it on our Instagram, I'll throw the link in the show notes. It's on our stories in the highlights. It says the G-Wagon.
The G-Wagon. My wife named it.
The G-Wagon.
G-Wagon.
So it's
all my family. It was called the Glendale Estates. So it's a Glendale motorhome on the G30. So they called it, and my wife just didn't care for that. And she's like, you know what? What if we did the G-Wagon? And I was like, that sounds fast. Yeah. I like it. Even though this thing is slower than a freaking turtle.
That's sweet.
But that's kind of.
It's so mint. It's got that like rose.
When you walk in, it screams mid 80s. It's even got the smell. I think that I remember being younger.
Smells shit, but I mean,
it could also be the rotten ceiling too. So it's like, well, what do we do?
That's what you've been breathing your whole life.
So that's gonna kind of consume me. I have a whole bunch of plans for it. I just need to have, I've got the time. I don't have the money for it right now, but trying to make it a camping rig and making storage. It kind of lacks some storage because it's a pretty small motorhome. So just trying to be creative and I don't know. That's my big project that I got. That's going to be kind of on the back burner for a long time. I think that's cool.
I think I just had a thought about that because we were talking about like, you're the kind of guy who you have a very high standard of quality for yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Like cabinet making, you need to be on. You can't be a quarter inch out here and there. And just with you're literally trained to be successful and trained to get the job done and move on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
That is not what this is.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, it's so funny because that's how we complement each other, I think, because Hoff is that way and I'm the complete opposite.
You thrive in that situation. But you've also got the know-how. But
I don't know if I thrive or if I'm just like a lazy slob.
No.
Is that
if I threw a bunch of woodworking projects at you or whatever, you would probably be like,
Yeah.
right? Like it's just it's that confidence. Like I even changed the
I think
oil in
too,
it.
I don't think you can put, and I don't know if you're doing this, but I just had this thought like with my like the 51, which we'll get to in a minute, but my identity and my like self-worth
Mm-hmm.
isn't hinged on whether I get that done or not,
Yeah.
or whether I get it done soon or not.
Yeah.
Doesn't make me any more of a man, doesn't make me any better of a craftsman
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, dad, father, husband, whatever, if it gets done in 2 weeks or if it gets done in a week or
next
6
year.
months or next year.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. That's shitty standards I'm putting on myself. No one else
Mhm.
cares. You kidding me? No one cares. Oh, well, you should get that.
I think I do that to myself. Okay, because part of me just wants to get the thing done so I can
Yeah,
start using it.
because it's
right?
summer now,
It's sat
right?
for so long, and
Yeah.
I want to, and I also want to make sure to go through everything, the brakes, right? Like
Make
I
sure
want to
your
make sure
family's
that's going to be
safe.
safe,
Yeah.
but also knowing that, like you said, like you don't have to go spend a crap ton of money getting it to this standard.
Yeah.
When how
'Cause
about go?
There's no limit.
Just go do it. Go camp. Go try it out. If it breaks down, whoop de
There's no
doo.
limit. It's a small block Chevy.
Yeah.
You could get headers for it. You get
Yeah.
full new exhaust. You could get a new intake manifold, carburetor. You could put a Sniper Holly Sniper EFI system
Now you're
on
talking
it.
my
You
language.
could, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could rebuild a tranny. You could
Yeah.
put a shift kit in it. You could rebuild the rear end and put different gears or what. Like there's no limit. You could redo the flooring. You could could tear the whole thing. Like there's no limit.
Yeah.
You could spend as much money on that as you want.
Mm-hmm.
Or as little. Like was David Freiberger Roadkill? He goes, "Don't get it perfect, just get it running."
Yeah.
You know, and then enjoy it.
But see, when I don't know, when I lack in the skill set of that, then I'm kind of like always like, oh, what next? What do I gotta? Where
No,
you're
that's
like,
true.
oh, replace this, replace the spark plugs, the boots, cap and rotor. You're just like pulling stuff out.
Well,
like,
it's no different than the deck that you guys built.
Yeah.
Hoff and his colleague came to my house, and I paid them to rebuild our deck in the back. And later, there's some cracking or whatever, and I was like, kind of worried. I was like, oh, shit, like, is this? He's like, that's what it does. It's fine. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right? I don't have that experience.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think that's pretty cool, but you don't need to. I think because I kind of got into that trap a little bit with those other projects, being like, I can't say that I'm this mechanically whatever person if I don't get this done. And that's something my self-worth isn't found in that anymore.
Even just little jobs. Like I changed the oil on the road. I mean, it's kind of tight to get into because it sits a bit low. And I don't know how long it took. It felt like it took way longer than it should. I know how to do an oil change.
No express lube on that
right?
on that road.
Yeah. But it's just and maybe it's the way I think and the attention to detail and making sure oil's not spilling everywhere and wiping it. Like, I'm just very methodical and want to do it properly.
Of course. Yeah.
But then sometimes that bogs the progress down in a way.
Yeah.
But then when you finish it, I was like, oh, I was like,
Hell
I got up from under there, pulled the cardboard out. I was like, I just did it.
Yeah.
Like,
and I don't know where that comes from because you taught kids how to do that in your home and vehicle maintenance class.
Yeah, but maybe with my own stuff, I don't know.
Maybe
because it's been a while.
Or maybe something new.
Maybe it's been on the back burner. I don't know.
Same with me and all this welding stuff.
Yeah.
Right. I was in not trades. I was in sales, and then went to education. I'm like, I've welded lots in the past, but
when you look back at it, it's really interesting how you can get so caught up on the fine details.
Yeah.
Because I'll throw out there where my brain goes, okay, if I F this up, this oil change, which is pretty damn easy. Mm-hmm. If I mess it up, I'm blowing this engine up. And I don't have the capacity or the know-how to fix this. And I'm like, I just ruined. That's where my head goes. It's like worst case scenario.
Of course. Yeah.
And
I
it
think
sucks.
That's normal. I can relate to that.
But I'm like, no, why? Like, you got to be confident. Like, again, just getting under there.
Well, they say that worry and anxiety, I mean, not to describe, I have an anxiety disorder. So the psychologist tells me. But they say that worry is a down payment on a problem you may never even ever have. Yeah. right?
Yeah.
You're putting a down payment or a mental headspace down payment on this engine blowing up. Probably is never gonna happen. But I can relate because I do that all the time.
But then I talk to people and it's way better. I'm like, hey, like oil filter, what do you like tight? You're like, oh, just go snug and quarter turn, boom.
Yeah.
And then that's all I need to kind of, okay, and then I'm looking up the torque specs for the oil drain pan because I just don't want to, I'm like, okay, it was about this tight, but I don't know if it's just how I'm trained or what, but like when my dad worked, he would just fling stuff together and but I don't know. I like it with certain things, but sometimes so
well, I'm
anyways,
just gonna say there's something to be said about that. Like you make some pretty awesome shit.
I also don't like getting my hands dirty either. The automotive side. Oh, the grease and the grime from it. I remember doing that home vehicle maintenance class and then teaching woodworking and
hands dirty with like grease and oil.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sawdust fine, like whatever. I'll sawdust
or like
days.
I come out from under my Jeep and I'm just covered and you're like,
oh yeah,
no thanks.
So
which
I
is
don't know.
Fine, whatever.
It's a fun project. It's got a lot of memories and I feel like a few of my projects have sentimental value.
Yeah.
I've also got my old Chevy truck at my aunt's too that my dad bought new that I've probably the next year or two will probably bring back here and start.
That's gonna be cool.
Fixing.
You want to talk about what it is? Or you want to save it?
I can talk about it.
Yeah. What is it?
I seem to be getting a lot of these like older projects that are kind of these like diamonds in the rough.
Yeah. Unicorns.
I'm acquiring unicorns, sure.
What's your truck? This is his pride and joy.
This is I remember, so I grew up in this thing. My dad bought, I've still got the bill of sale from the dealer back in 1990. I think it was like 19 grand at the time. It's a 1990 Silverado regular cab long box 2-wheel drive. It's got the 5.7 in it. I'm an only child, so literally my parents and me, and I think we had one dog at the time, we would travel to the lake all the time in it. We would tow the boat. We wouldn't take the boat out of the lake because it was only 2-wheel drive and we couldn't get it out the boat launch, but we would go everywhere in that. My dad was a truck driver. And I just remember a lot of time spending in the truck with him. He had geared down with the automatic transmission, and just being a young kid, I was like, this is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
We moved from Alberta to BC when I was in grade 9. So that was my first vehicle. I think my mom forced him to give it to me, which up until he passed, he was not happy that he had to give his son the truck because he thoroughly enjoyed it. So I think I still have I've got a truck folder. My dad kept every receipt.
That's
all
sweet.
The stuff like that. I have a whole bunch of lists of what I wanted to do. So back in the day, I wanted to, do the white paint, kind of like that tri-coat.
Yeah, that Cadillac
color with lime green flames and air ride and big spinners and all that. Like I had a list from watching Spike TV and Motor Trend and all those people, right? And I just
the tribal flames.
Yeah, that's what it was, right? And I had down to like almost part numbers. I remember when I was in high school, I'd be going through the internet and like pricing things out to be like, what would this take to do? And my tastes have definitely changed since then, but it's been sitting.
Could you imagine though if you got that done and you'd had this like mid-90s gem, even as tacky, not tacky, but as like mid-90s as it would be.
Yeah.
All that's coming back now.
Yeah.
This would be so sick.
And as the older I get, the more stock I want to lower it a bit and do some stuff, but I want to kind of leave it more stock and pro touring. I don't know. I've got lots of ideas, but anyways, it's been in the family forever. I got huge memories. I think it's got 185,000 K. So, not bad. It's in great shape. I was in a car accident in high school, got rear-ended. So, with insurance work, I got the cab corners removed. Fender wells were kind of rusted. So I got the whole truck painted. So it's in quite nice shape. Just I want to start lowering it and kind of getting some power and again being able to get my kids in there and take them for a ride and I don't know, have something and kind of almost honor my dad in a way too. I've kind of had a bunch of ideas of what to do, and I know he would be proud to be like, oh, I would like to have it maybe done for when my kids graduate so they can take it to graduation. And
Oh, that's
I don't know.
cool.
It's just
Yeah.
between the motorhome and that and a couple other little things, it's just like, I don't know. And again, it's something that wouldn't be my daily driver that, if I had a big enough garage or little shop, I could work on and just leave it and not have to worry about, we got to get this running by, midnight tonight because I got to take it tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
we should rent a shop together.
that might be
Or
needed.
when we move, I want to buy a place that has a 3-car.
Yeah.
Or build
Me
a
too.
3-car.
Yeah.
And then, like, if you want to store something in there. that'd be
Yeah.
awesome. Anyways.
Now, what do you? Enough about me. I probably jabbered on about too much crap. But
Probably about a half hour there.
that's
yeah.
fine. Let's just delete that. What do you have going on?
I have too many things going on. I have like a paper from a psychologist that tells me that I have ADHD, and it shows. It is a textbook. So I have the 51 International. I got you can see all these projects except for Hoff's OPS. It's not on there yet, but on our Instagram highlights or whatever. The 51. So it's a 51 International L130, and so it's a 1-ton truck. And at first, I wanted to just get it going, get it running. And shout out again to Eric Tesmer, Bare Knuckle Binder. The man's an encyclopedia.
He's a magician.
And we actually have an episode of his. So just check back. It's the 3rd most popular episode we have, which is so cool.
And we're talking about specialties.
Like super specialty stuff.
His international, that's his jam.
Like it's so cool.
Yeah.
He's I'll text
To be able
him.
to ask him questions.
Oh.
And him fire off an answer in
Off
a
top
couple
of his
minutes.
head.
Just, yeah.
I was like, the other day, I was like, how wide is usually because I was thinking about like a camper for it.
Yeah.
And I was like, how wide usually are these, like, because I wasn't at the farm. How wide are the truck boxes? He's like, oh, well, between the wheel wells, it's this, and between the side panels or whatever, it's this. And I'm like, wow. Anyways, so he helped me out a lot. I do feel like I've betrayed him a little bit. So.
How so?
Go on.
Tell me more.
Because I owe him. I owe him for sure. So, and I've tried to pay him back. Like he'll because his 9-foot box that I have, and he's like, I've sent him videos, and so he can reference mine, whatever. Whatever you need, buddy, I got your back. But so I started this thing. I brought it home. It was my uncle's. This is another, like a sentimental thing. When my uncle passed away, the farm that he owned got sold, and just on a whim, I was like looking for a project for the show, kind of, I guess. And
for you?
Well, for sure for me.
Yeah.
But something different. And I was like, because my kids I'm like, I think I'm ready for a project now.
Yeah.
So then I called, I found the guy that bought the farm on Facebook, and I sent him a message. I was like, hey, like, I'm Brian's nephew. I know you bought it just shot in the dark. Are there any old vehicles out there on the farm? Sends me a picture of this thing. It's just beautiful patina, blue. Oh, it's so good. And I bought Poppy's patina for it. Shout out to those guys.
I'm excited to see that thing pop.
It's gonna be absolutely pop.
Yeah.
Gotta do it soon though, so that paint stops deteriorating.
Yeah.
And that'll be done this summer. Anyways, so he sends me a picture of this thing. I was like, oh, cool. And then I thought I was being all coy and smooth. I was like, you know what? And it was true, but I played the family card. I was like, it'd be cool to like keep this thing in the family. Like, would you be interested in selling this thing? If so, what would you want for it? Yeah. And the guy goes, if you want it, come get it. It's yours. I'm like, holy crap. So then my brother-in-law, shout out to James, we loaded the trailer up, drove out to Saskatchewan, loaded this thing up, came home. And then I took the valve cover off, and it was just, you can see all this on the story. There's all these reels of it. It looked like a loaf of bread, just packed with like mouse stuff.
Yeah.
And the engine, I'm like, oh, this is toast. So then again with the community, there's this international truck community Facebook page group. And this guy on there I posted a picture. I'm like, what do I do, kind of thing. And he sends me a message. He's like, I have another frame with the engine that turns over. It ran. He's like, you can have it if you come get it. So James and I, no, my other brother-in-law, Sean, him and I load up the trailer in a truck and go up and get this thing. And so I got all these parts for this thing, whatever. And then there's a local company called Southland International who does the old truck parts as well. And I told them what I had, and I ordered some brake shoes for it. And I get it home and get the brake shoes, get everything apart, get everything back together, change the brake shoes and the hardware kit and the springs and everything. And it's not, the brake drum's not going on. I'm like, what the? Like, it shouldn't be this hard. I shouldn't have to use a hammer. What is going on? And then I should have done this before, but I compared the widths of the brake shoes. And sure as shit, these things are smaller. And I'm like, the brake shoes that I bought, the new ones are 2-inch for the 1 ton. The ones on there were like 1.75 inches or whatever. And I was like, what? So then I called up these guys and Eric too. Turns out this 1 ton has 3/4 ton front axle or 3/4 ton hubs or whatever it is. Okay, here we go. So then I'm going back to my roots of like working in a rod shop and stuff. I'm like, but it would be really cool to put that old body on a newer frame. And I'm talking with Eric, and he's like, you could tell he's rooting for me not to do it. He's a real purist, and I respect the hell out of him for it. But I was like, for me, this might be a little better. So then I found this guy who ended up being like an ex-student of ours.
Yeah.
I never taught him, but you did.
Yeah.
But I knew him, and I didn't know this if he was a student until I bought the thing. But so it's a 2000 Yukon XL, so basically a Suburban. Has like 400,000 kilometers on it, just miled out, but whatever. It's in great shape. Transmission needs to rebuild, I think, but so he had it listed for like $2,200. I was like, that's a little pricey for that. He goes, tell you what, if I can keep the wheels on it, because he had these big 22s or whatever, because they're worth like $2,000, he said, I'll sell it to you. You can have it for $350. And I said yes. And then it turns out he had his factory wheels, just needed tires. So I found some old junk tires, put it on. And then I parted this thing out, sold the doors for $350, sold the kit.
You're making money.
I made money.
Hey.
I sold the trunk.
Vehicle flipper.
Trunk lid thing. That's happened a couple times. Sold the trunk thing, the hatch or whatever for, was it like 180 or something? And then, 125, and then the bumper for 80. And then the guy who came and helped me pull the body off, I just gave him that scrap value for his services. Mm-hmm. And now I have this frame, and it runs, pulled the whole harness out of it. I can connect it all together and start it up, and it runs. It's kind of cool. And then I'm going to put the body of that 51 onto this 2000 Chevy. All the parts are going to be cheaper. It's not geared to pull a house. Like those 1 tons could pull.
Yeah.
And part of me, I don't want to get rid of that 1 ton stuff just yet.
Yeah.
Like if I can find another body or something, like I'd like to just have one of those.
Yeah.
I think that'd be super
More like
cool.
a long-term project.
Yeah. So
I
think I'm going to keep it and just kind of put those two frame all the good stuff from both together. But in the meantime, the Yukon, it's 2-wheel drive, and the wheelbase is like 4 inches different, but I got a plan for that. But it's it'll be cool. I'm
5.3 or 6 liter.
5.3.
5.3.
Yeah, and it runs well. The transmission, it's a 4L60, so I think I'm gonna tear it apart and rebuild it myself.
Oh,
yeah,
just do it.
I've done one in my life.
Oh,
and because
you're an expert.
And because of that, I was ATRA certified. That's the Automatic Transmission Rebuilders Association. I got a certification.
It's like riding a bike. What could go wrong?
But like, I've done it once in my life, under in a group project
Yeah.
under guidance from instructors. But I have like a manual now, and there's YouTube videos, and there's a community, right?
Yeah.
So I think what I'm going to do is I'm changing the I'm changing the upper control arms and the shocks and just getting all that ready. And then I'm going to take it out to the farm. And once it's out at the farm, I can put the body on. But then I'm going to, before I take it out to the farm, I'm going to pull the transmission and I'm going to put a couple tables up in my garage and then take it apart and keep it all in order. And yeah, it's going to be cool.
Nice.
And then I just did the ball joints and tie rod ends and wheel bearings and radiator in my Jeep. Get that ready for summer.
Yeah.
And we're going to build a drawer system flip thing for the Jeep. That'd be kind of cool. So look for that. And then hopefully soon. And then what else?
Bumper?
Building a bumper for it, which is sweet. It's a swing away rear tire carrier thing that I'm almost done. That should be done in the next few days. I'm excited for that. And then, yeah, just having that truck, knowing that I can just work on it whenever I have a free moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I have going on. Not really a ton of home stuff, project wise, other than just trying to get we might do flooring. I think I'm gonna pay someone to do the flooring. Just get vinyl plank. Maybe I'll pay you. I can pay you.
Sure.
I'll help.
I'll
you.
take your money.
or whatever. If we could do a good, see, that's the one thing about that stuff. I don't know enough, and I've done 2 rooms in my basement, and I didn't do it well. I still haven't put the transition strips in there.
That's okay.
And I don't, and it doesn't. So I'm like, if we can do it well, I'll do it. But I want to keep this house as a rental. So, anyways, that's it. That's what I've been doing.
That's crazy.
I
got a question for you.
Yeah.
Since we're just about at the old celebrate the school year's over, what are your summer plans? What are you going to do?
We have a 9-month-old, so we have 3 kids, and our youngest is 9 months, so we can't really go anywhere far. You'll probably see some tent trailer content. So we're gonna go camping. I'd like to go and have a decent presence at Street Machine Weekend this year. So any Lethbridge people listening, maybe you can meet up with us or something in a side of the road or something. I don't know. That'd be kind of fun. But just stick around home and work on the truck. And this is lofty, but I would love to get this thing rolling under its own power by the end of summer.
Yeah.
That would be so cool. I'd love to just get it out or even just putz it around my crescent or whatever, or up and down the alley.
See all the blood, sweat, and tears that went into it. Hey,
I'd love.
You'll be
to
crying like a baby.
Oh, I'm already tearing up just thinking about it.
Yeah.
No, but I think that would be fun. But I also don't want to spend. I'll have to do it in the evenings or whatever, because I don't want to spend all day in the garage when my wife and kids are in the house.
Yeah.
I don't want my kids ever. I said this to my wife too. I'm like, you're not going to be a truck widow, and my kids aren't going to be truck orphans.
Yeah.
That's my kids and my family is more important than any project. Done.
Mm-hmm.
Full stop. Right.
Yeah.
So I don't want my working on the truck to take away from my summer with my kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I can get my kids involved to an extent, and they know this. But the sooner I get it done, the sooner I can have fun in it with them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I got to find a balance there. But no, I'd rather hang out with my kids than wrench on that stuff. But yeah, what about you? Summer, we're gonna go camping hopefully once.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
I hope
the
so.
maiden voyage.
The maiden voyage with the motorhome. We usually head to the lake for a bit. I think we'll have about 3 weeks throughout the summer out there. I acquired I've got a foil surfboard that I tried last September and kind of got hooked instantly. So it's so I do I kind of grew up around the lake, on the lake, wakeboarding, wake surfing, all that stuff. And I've got a foil surfboard. So it's a conventional surfboard that has a foil similar to an air chair. It's kind of the new thing of kind of surfing. And
The hell's an air chair?
Google it. It's like a chair that's strapped to I don't know what the description of things are, but it's like a big mass that goes into the water, and there's a horizontal stabilizer, and you can like ride above the waves. There's people that are pumping stuff. Noah Flegel's a big surf guy, and he's like this. People are just taking this sport off. They can jump off their dock and pump around a lake. You can get, so the nice thing with this foil surfboard is that I've got an 97 Malibu Sunsetter. I think Emily Reeves.
Mm-hmm. Aaron and Emily.
Yes, Aaron and Emily. They've got
Flying Sparks Garage.
Flying Sparks Garage. They have, I believe, a 97. So it's an older one. My parents had it. Kind of all these things that I have or like I've acquired. They bought it as a demo model.
Rich kid. No,
and it was, back in the day, it was it was an in-between boat. So my wife and sister-in-law and brother-in-law and hopefully kids, we've been surfing a bit, but it doesn't have the automatic ballast. So I've got to physically, with a tsunami pump water into these big ballast bags, and it takes about 45 minutes. And it's kind of a pain in the butt. If the kids want to go do something, I got to take the weight out and then put it back in. So with this foil board, I can ride my wave stock and still have fun surfing. Some people do it behind a Sea-Doo. You need very little wave to push you. So
ballast just makes more wave.
Ballast sinks the boat down, which creates more wave. And now I don't need to do that. So we could literally go from putting around the lake to getting onto this foil board. And I'm stoked. I tried it for about a couple hours last September. There was a World Wake Surf Championship held in BC, and we had some family friends compete, and there were some reps and stuff there with foil boards, and I just got hooked instantly, and kind of over the winter have acquired this stuff. So I was talking with my wife earlier tonight before we came to the garage, and that's my goal for holidays is I want to get confident and comfortable on this thing, because you can get bucking pretty good, but that's kind of my goal for the summer for our lake vacation, and then be doing some woodworking projects and maybe some quadding, and obviously hopefully trying to get out camping. And this is the last summer that my kids will be in daycare. My daughter will be in grade 1 next year, so she'll be at home with me. My wife is not a teacher, so I'll be solo with the kids when they're in school, so I'm kind of trying to make the most of the summer. And
camping a lot next year.
Oh yeah, that motorhome will be like, this might be every weekend. I might just live in the motorhome all summer.
Let's do it.
So yeah, just having some fun.
Awesome.
I've started to run a little bit throughout I'm a fair weather runner. I've figured out. So I don't really have a sport in the summer. So that's kind of, I get the dog out and I don't know. I enjoy it. It's kind of fun.
That's awesome.
So, and then try to relax a bit and rejuvenate for the next school year.
Yeah. Got to do that. You can't forget to do that too.
Yeah.
It's so easy to fill your summer up.
It is.
Hey,
it is very easy.
And then all of a sudden it's like, you're more tired. You go back to work for a break.
Yeah. And I've done that sometimes. Some summers I've loaded up stuff. Cause the nice thing with a teacher, you've got a lot of time off. So you can either use that time to, whether I think the kids might've been younger or prior to kids, I would work a lot and, bring in some extra money and then, go to the lake for a couple weeks, come back, work a bit. And then school, end of August, you go back to school and you're just like, I need a vacation.
Yeah,
I'm done.
Seriously.
And then there's been some years where I've done absolutely nothing and just relaxed and almost to the point of boredom.
Yeah.
So, there's that, it's that again, for a lot of people finding that happy balance of not taking on too much, but doing enough to kind of keep your brain sharp. And
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah.
I'm the same. I'm like, my brain loves the idea of having zero structure and just sit on my ass and do nothing for 2 months.
Watch some movies, sleep in, take a nap.
But it's not fulfilling.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the first week or whatever, I was sitting on my ass, I'm just feel useless.
See, in that first week, I can hardcore relax pretty good, because then that's kind of that. Yeah. But after that, you start getting antsy, like, what can I do?
For sure.
So.
I remember last summer we filled it because we didn't have Sophie. we filled it up with camping. We were gone a ton, and our lawn was overgrown, and our like. So we'll be doing some more stuff at home. But I'm just looking forward to like sleeping in a little bit, waking up, go having a coffee on the deck.
Yeah.
Just kind of.
And sometimes staying at home is good.
Wrench a little bit.
You know, like, I don't know. Some people, we've always kind of, as soon as we're off, whether it was through when I was in university and, you know, classes were over, I'd rush back to BC and go work. And, you know, we never really stayed in Lethbridge here.
Yeah.
I haven't really camped here. We're not really big campers. So this is kind of a new venture for us with this motorhome too. But
big lake guy.
Yeah. I like to have fun on the boat. That's kind of how I grew up. So that's what, you know.
I'm just jealous.
But sometimes staying at home is really relaxing and almost rejuvenating sometimes. You know, some people get so stuck in this crazy, you know, we got to go. And we were those people every weekend, right? Boom, boom. We're going to back, you know, 4-hour trip back home. And
but so, in your defense, being able to chill on a lake, I'd be going every weekend too.
Yeah. But the driving even, right? Like, Friday, Sunday, then you put kids in the mix, and now it's like, you know what, I enjoy being home.
Bloom where you're planted.
Do some yard work, relax, have a nap, you know, the go. You can't.
Well, getting older too.
Well, and that's probably
ain't no spring chickens over here. No. We're 37, 36, 37.
So I don't know. Sometimes it's nice just to sit back and enjoy your home and catch up on the little things.
And we're gonna get our house ready for rental too over the summer.
Oh, nice.
I think.
Yeah.
I think we might be looking for a new place, which I'm excited about. Hopefully, prices and interest rates go down.
I hope so.
It's nuts everywhere, but whatever. Anyways,
this has been a blast.
This has been a good one.
I like it.
We should do more of this stuff. Hour 26.
Holy, here I was thinking right before we talked, like, oh, you know, like might be 20, 30 minutes, and you're like,
20 minutes
no, and I'm like, what? Like, yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
You get us chatting.
There it is.
It's nice to catch up. Hey,
it's about time we did this.
Yeah.
And so thank you everyone for. Should we end it here?
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for listening. Also, thanks for being here for this year for the 35 episodes, and we're looking forward to doing a lot more. We were talking, and it would be really cool if we had more time in our days to be able to do weeklies, but that's not going to happen anytime soon, I don't think.
No.
Unless someone wants to volunteer their time and edit all of our shows for us, and we just...
Still, that would be a bit of a push.
Yeah, we'd have to actually interview or book interviews for us and then edit them.
Yeah. A manager.
Yeah, I guess.
Pays subpar.
We'll hire staff. No. Subpar.
Yeah.
Like sub.
Yeah. Like you pay us to edit our stuff.
Yeah. What do you think this is? Yeah. No, but if we like, I know the show would grow faster if we were more consistent, like weekly. But I mean, we're just doing what we can, and it's doing what it's gonna do.
And when we started this, it was
nothing.
Not to, you know, put more work on us, and you know, if it gets in the way of family and different things, we put a hard chalk line in the dirt.
We are if this ever comes in front of, even with what my other shows have done, if it interferes at all with family and whatever, like that's family takes precedent for sure. This is a hobby and it's really fun.
It is.
Would I welcome an opportunity to do this full time? Hell yeah, I would. But that's never gonna happen. I shouldn't say that, but I don't see it in the cards.
We're enjoying this.
So this is awesome, and we really appreciate you guys listening. We want to. One of the goals, I think, is to just engage community more, and so don't be afraid to comment and send us messages. Thank you to those of you who have and shared your thoughts and insights on how you feel about the show and what it's done for you too.
Helping us out with our projects.
100%. Yeah, Eric. Wow, my voice cracked there.
Yeah.
Hitting puberty again. There we go. First time for everything. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. Make sure you check out our show notes for all the links to our social media and all that stuff. But yeah, thanks so much for listening. It means a lot. Thanks, Hoff.
Thanks, Rosie.
And we'll catch you guys in the next one.